Woohoo! We are live. This is the Math 40 Elementary Algebra Chapter 1 practice test. Woo! And it's very exciting because this is the debut of the Sharktopus puppet. Why, yes, doing a little dance. Believe it or not, this is how Sharktopus is. Moonwalk. Nicely done, Sharktopus. So, this is a video kind of walkthrough of the problems that will be on the practice test. For each chapter test, I will create a practice test so that you can make sure you understand, how the different problems work and how to answer the questions. And so for the practice test, I have put together this PDF. And when you see this video, you'll be able to see this PDF. Plus, because of time travel, mostly forward, that's most of the time travel all of us do, forward 1 minute at a time, you'll also see all the answers. So you'll be able to download all of my notes, plus the blank one, watch the video, and so you'll be able to practice the problems, and then you can take the actual practice test online, which will be just like the regular test. I encourage you to take the practice test just to make sure that if you hit any problems, any questions that you don't quite understand what you're supposed to do, you can ask me, because in the actual test, you can only take it once. So let's go over the difference between the practice test, and the actual test. So practice test, is there a time limit? No. Well, technically, you need to be done, and I've been saying May 27th because I'm recording this during the spring, but if I reuse this for the fall, before December, you've got 1 semester to look at this. Are there any retakes for the practice test? Absolutely. You can practice taking this as often as you like. You can do it as, get yourself comfortable with taking math tests if you want, or you want to have a math test party. I don't know. Maybe that could be fun. I know my Sharktopus and my Godzilla are like, yeah, party time. Okay. Open book and notes? Sure. When you take the practice test, you can use it in any way you like. If you want to use it to test yourself, then close your notes, close all of your book and everything, and then just take it without checking. Or some people like to use it as just additional challenge problems, in which case you can use any resource you want. However, for the actual test, now the actual test is 90 minutes long. There are no retakes, so one and done. And in fact, if you go over 90 minutes, the test will close and it will just send whatever you finished up to that point to me. And then this one, that's important. Open book and notes, no. So for the actual test, I'm hoping that everyone it's the honor system, you will not use your notes. The idea is this test is telling me whether you learned the math well enough to be able to do it without looking it all up first, which is the things I'm putting on the tests are the things which you will need to be able to do without looking them up to go on and feel comfortable in the next class. I don't want to say, okay, go on to the next class for anyone where I'm just going to be throwing you into a situation where you would be really miserable. So the goal is these tests are closed book, closed notes. Thank you so much. Oh, closed people, so don't ask anyone. You can ask a puppet as long as the puppet is not, being answered by someone else. Okay, so let's get started. The order of these problems will match the order in the practice test. However, sometimes Canvas likes to change the order of the answers. So the answers may be a little mixed up from what you see here. And then for the actual test, fingers crossed, these problems will appear in the same order. So you'll be prepared not just by looking over the practice test, but you'll also know what kind of problems are coming in what order, so you can prepare for them. Okay, let's get started. Very first problem was one of the first things we did in chapter 1. Find the prime factorization of 7,200. So this is that one when you take 7,200 and you think, okay, I need 2 things that multiply to give me 7,200. There are a lot of ways to go about this. You could start off with 2 times something. And Calculators are absolutely allowed on these tests. So definitely use the calculator. Even if you're pretty sure of what you're doing, double check with the calculator. You know, it can't hurt. So let me move this guy in. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take advantage of the fact that this is 72 and then 100. And I'm going to break the 72 off from the 100. And then I have to think to myself, okay, what times what gives me 72? And again, you've got a lot of options. 72 happens to be 2 times 36. It's also 4 times, I think, 18, maybe. And it's a lot of things. But the way I originally learned it was 8 times 9. That was how I learned it. 100, I'm going to break that down as 10 times 10. But again, you could do 4 times 25 or 2 times 50. It's really up to you. The work in the middle will not necessarily match, but by the time we get all the way down to the prime numbers, all the answers will match, yours and mine. Okay, 8 is 2 times 4. 9 is 3 times 3. 10 is 2 times 5. And then this one is also 2 times 5. Now I take a look at these answers and I say, ooh, the number 2 is a prime number. So I'm going to put a little pink line. You can use whatever color you like. 2, 2. Okay, how about 4? Well, 4 is not a prime number. I can keep going, so I'm going to keep going. 4 is 2 times 2, and that brings me a couple more 2s. In the original chapter, you saw I circled. I don't want to circle right now because I don't want to make this too messy. I want to make it easier to see. Since I'm going over the practice test, but you can also circle them. I'm going to go in and for the 3s, I'll make them yellow. And then I need one more color. For my 5s, will be blue. Okay. So then I'm going to look at the answers, and I notice that the answers are descending. So to make it easier on myself, I'm going to write these prime numbers in descending order. So the biggest one I see is a 5, and that's the blue one, and I've got 2 of those, right? There are 2 blues. You can see why I color code them. I find numbers get a little squirrely, but colors usually stay put for me. Okay, next up, I've got the yellows. I've got 2 3s, so I can make a couple spots for the 3s. 3 times 3. And then I've got a whack ton of pinks, a whack ton of 2s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can absolutely look at this and think, oh my goodness, that's way more work that I'm going to do. And that's fine. I have to be more careful because the way my brain takes in information and spits it back out again, it tends to get things a little bit wonky. So I put in all of these different techniques to try to keep myself from making mistakes. Okay, so let me see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Used all 5 2s. Notice I can put a little black dot there to note that I have used them. I've got 2 5s. There are my 2 5s. Yep. I've got 2 3s. There are my 2 3s. Are there any other end numbers? Now, do I have to include the middle numbers? No, because they're broken down. You only include the very smallest pieces. Okay, then I can go in with my calculator. You don't have to, but you can. 5 times 5 times 3 times 3 times 2, 2, 3, 4, 5 equals, ta-da, 7,200. So I double checked. Now, if you were going to be sneaky, and I actually encourage a certain amount of cleverness when you're taking tests, right? Math is the study of patterns. And so if you're taking a test and you notice patterns, take advantage of that. But if you were going to try to be like, oh, I'm going to skip doing the work, you're going to find that more than one of the answers, when you multiply them, actually gives you 7,200. So you're going to have to do some of the work. But, obviously there are going to be shortcuts with multiple choice. So if you see a good shortcut, hey, that's also logic. That's also pattern recognition. But I'm going to go all the way to the end. I see 5 times 5 times 3 times 3. So 2 5s and 2 3s. I've got 2 5s here, but this option has a bunch of 3s. So this is out. This has 2 5s and 3 3s. Nope. 2 5s, 2 3s, good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is it. This is this one. So you'll see that I've got a bunch of possible answers there. Some of them will work. So as I said, some of them, when you multiply them out, you'll get 7,200. So just be really careful. Just because an answer is there does not mean it's correct. And then the other thing is, on the actual test, I really do encourage you to have paper, because like this problem, which is not that complicated, but there's so many moving parts that if you're not writing it down, it's really easy to make mistakes. And so you might have too many 3s or not enough 2s, or, you know, something like that. So I encourage you, definitely write down your work. Then you can always go back and check it. Right, Sharktopus? Sharktopus agrees. Okay. Next up. The mirrors, they're so fun. Okay. So the next one, and I think of this as being one big problem, but I got to tell you that the way Canvas works is it thinks this is questions 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it thinks they're all separate questions. I put them together because it's all the same type of question. Now, I'm not sure if you will get these in the same order. Again, Canvas sometimes reverses order, so I'm not sure, but you should get these options. Let's look through them. Okay, so you're supposed to click the checkbox. I'm just going to circle because we're not doing this online. And next to every number set, this number belongs to. So it's not just one of them. It's going to be likely more than one for all of them, or most of them. Okay, so let's look at 0. So right off the bat, you have to know 0 is not a natural number. It's actually a whole number. But once it's a whole number, it's also an integer. It's also a rational number. Now be careful. Irrational is a special, exclusive group. Don't circle it for most numbers. And then real. Everybody here is real. They're all real. It's awesome. Okay, next up, we get this problem. This is sneaky. Oh my goodness, math teachers are devious sometimes. Look at me giving you a square root, a radical, making you think this is something exotic, when in fact, wait a minute, what's the square root of 16? Or I should say, what's the principal square root of 16? Well, we can always check that out, right? Radical 16 square root of 16 is 4. This number, negative radical 16, is actually just -4. I was just being tricksy. I made it look fancy, but it's really not that fancy. Now, it's a great number, but this is not an irrational number. This is just our friend, the integer. Aw. Now, if you're an integer, you're also rational. Skip irrational, that's a special group, and go to real. Woohoo. Okay, next up, square root of 17, or radical 17. Now, this one you can check by pulling out your calculator. 17. Notice that just going when you can't, and you won't, and you don't. What? Stop. You got it. It's irrational. And you can already recognize that because 17 is not a perfect square that you memorize. So it's probably irrational. So this one goes all the way down the line to irrational and real. Now, I've written this out really nicely. Canvas is likely to mix these all up. So be careful. You might want to have a piece of paper where you write down which sets you want to choose for each one. Because if they're in a different order, it's going to be harder. And I apologize, there's not a lot I can do about the way Canvas shows you your problems. Okay, negative 0.5. Now this is a piece of, or a fraction of, a whole. It's not a whole, it's basically -1/2. And so for these numbers that are fractions of a whole, we're in the rational numbers. These are not integers, whole numbers, or natural numbers, because those have to be whole pieces. If it's just a little tiny piece of a whole, then it's irrational or a real. Not irrational, that means not rational, rational. And then here it is, our friend 8. 8 is a natural number. Woohoo! It's a counting number. You can count how many sharktopusses there are. There could be 8 of them. How awesome would that be, right? Yay, 8 sharktopusses. Now, you could ask me, well, wait a minute. If it's just how many sharktopusses there are, couldn't you just have 0 sharktopusses? And I would say no. No, there's no world that's worth living in that does not have at least 1 sharktopus. Thankfully, we're living in the world with a sharktopus. It's right here. My little sharktopus. You can make your own. 0 is a special number. We invented a whole category just to fit 0 in. But all the other counting numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., 5, 6, 7, 8, these are all natural. If you're natural, you're also whole, you're also an integer, you're also rational, you're also real. Okay? Woohoo! Woohoo. Page 1 done. 1/3 done. I'm so excited. Yay! Okay, let's simplify by combining like terms. What do you think, Sharktopus? What do you think, Godzilla? Here's Godzilla. Doesn't quite fit in. Hello. Yes, everyone's excited to simplify by combining like terms. Now, this is complicated. This is actually pretty... This is a hard problem for me with the way that my brain takes information in. So I may, when I'm writing it down, I might break things up into, let's see, let me not start with this. First thing I will do is write very large, -2x plus y minus 3x plus 4y minus 0.5x plus 3x minus the opposite of y. Oh my goodness, I'm almost writing out of room. Okay, so there we go. So first thing is make sure you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Make sure you got all the terms. And then for myself, I'm going to, again, color code these guys. So my X terms are all going to be pink. Yay, pink. Okay, that's it. I think I have 4 X terms. And then let's go with green, because that's kind of interesting, isn't it? My Y's will be green. There's a Y, there's another Y. Okay, I got 3 Y's there. The 3 Y's numbers, or something like that. My 5T, my T terms will be in purple. And then I'll go ahead and do, for the constant, the yellow. Notice that for the T's and the constant, there's only 1, so there's not going to be any combining. Okay, personally, again, I'm going to encourage you, because the truth of the matter is most people, in my experience, I don't know if anyone's done a study, but generally in my experience in math class, about 90 to 95% of people, when they're taking a test, when they're under stress, they tend to make more mistakes. Your brain doesn't quite work as well when you're stressed out. Now, believe it or not, for like 5 or 10% of the students I see, their brain works better when it's stressed, which is, kind of like a superpower. And if you have that, congratulations. But for the rest of us, myself included, it means that when I'm taking a test, it's actually more likely that I'll make mistakes. So whatever you can do, like here, I'm color coding things, I'm writing things down, I'm writing them big. If you're taking this test, you can have music playing because you're taking it online. You can have your music playing, whatever music, as long as it's not, say like music that tells you how to do math, right? So just regular music, not awesome math music. But take your time with this, because it's really easy to make mistakes. And that with some of these examples, because math teachers are annoying this way, I have included some of these to be the kind of mistakes people might make. So you could make a mistake and see your answer there. So just be really, really careful. Don't fall for any of the traps. Okay, so personally for me, I'm going to take the extra step to move, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 pink. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to move the 4 pink terms. I'm going to move the 1, 2, 3 green terms. 1, 2, 3. And then right at the end, I've got my purple. Oh, Godzilla. Godzilla's dancing. And my yellow. Okay, so here are all my terms all lined up. And you can use whatever colors you like. Negative 2x, negative 2x. And then I'm going to put a little dot there to let me know I already copied it down. Next one, negative 3x, negative 3x. Got that one. Next, pink, negative 0.5x. Yes, got that one. And then plus 3x. Got that one. Okay, now for my green guys, I've got 3 green terms. I've got plus y. Got that one. Plus 4y. Got that one. And this one's sneaky. Oh my goodness, I see you, math teacher, doing sneaky ones. The opposite of y, or negative minus y, or minus minus y, however you want to say it. This is kind of a complicated one. So I'm going to put off dealing with that. I'm just going to copy it down. And then minus 5t plus 6. And remember, with all of these, notice you get to keep the sign that comes before you. So the sign on the left, that's this side. The sign to the left of you comes along for the journey. The plus that's in front of the y gets to come with the y. The plus that's in front of the 4y gets to come with that. Okay. So at this point, we have to combine like terms because they're all together. Now, are there easy, sneaky, nice ways to do it and harder, more complicated and yucky ways? Yes. Will anyone agree on which ones are the easy ways and which ones are the hard ways? No. No one will ever agree on that. In my classes, I am every single semester I'll say, well, I think this is the easy way, and someone will say, nope, that's not easy at all. So the trick is you've got to come up with the way for you to do it that makes the most sense. I gave myself a big spot to do the pink, and I got to combine these pink terms, these x terms. And if you notice, I've left you a little Easter egg here, minus 3x plus 3x. These two cancel each other out. So if you see that, you can, right, when you add them together, they come out to 0x. So you can skip them, or you can walk through it. So negative 2 minus 3, negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. Minus 0.5 is negative 5.5. Plus 3, oh my goodness. I may do this on the calculator if I'm not sure. So I can do it here. Remember on the calculator, right? You can, oops, so you can't see it. There's your, so negative 2 minus 3 minus 0.5 plus 3 equals negative 2.5. So I can double check. Okay, negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. Then it becomes negative 5.5. And then I add 3. So I go the other way. So it becomes negative 2.5. Negative 2.5x. Okay, the y's are a little bit easier. I've got y plus 4y. That's 5y. And then I got this thing. Notice that, remember, a minus is what? It's a plus. Minus a minus is a plus. So minus a minus is a plus. So I've got y plus 4y plus another y. That's 6 y's. And they're positive. And then the purple and the yellow are nice and easy. There's just one t term, and there's just one constant term. So I don't have to combine them at all. Okay, let's look up top. Do I have this as an answer? Negative 2.5x. I've got one right there. That answer matches. Plus 6y. Yes. Minus 5t. Plus 6. Yep, looks good. Yay. Now, what happens if the worst thing that could happen happens, that you get to the end and your answer does not agree with any of the possible ones? Well, so there are two possibilities. One is that you've made a mistake. And so I would encourage you, when you make a mistake, you'll know it really quickly on a multiple choice test, because you'll say, oh, I don't even know what to circle. So what I would recommend is you go to another problem, do a different problem, shake out the old Etch-a-Sketch, and then come back and try it again. Get a new piece of paper, try the problem again. If you cannot find your mistake, do your best. Pick the closest one, and then email me or send me a message in Pronto. Let me know that you found it, you came across a problem. Worst case, I'll say, you know what? I checked it and I don't think there's a mistake. But there's always a possibility I'm human. I mean, there is a possibility I'm human. I don't know whether you think I am or not, but there is that possibility I could be human. And in that case, I could make mistakes. And in that case, it would be really awesome if you would tell me, you know, because then I could find the mistake and be like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. And then I shower you with praise and appreciation. Who doesn't want that, right? And if you're incorrect and I say, no, I checked it and I don't think there's a mistake, then you and I can talk about what happened, what didn't go right for you, and then we'll figure it out. Woohoo. Okay, next problem. Multiply out and combine like terms. Okay, this one's has what is technically a harder technique, but it's a much simpler problem. Not a lot going on in this one. 3 times the quantity 2x plus 5. Y. There we go. And in order to do this, we're going to use the distributive property, which is the one where you've got the arrows. So you multiply out. And either you can, if you want to write it out like this, right, you can do that. And you can see that the 3 visits both of the terms inside the parentheses. And then let's see, I get 3 times 2x is 6x, plus 3 times 5y is 15y. And then I notice that all the answers involve a 6x and a 15y, just lots of different signs. So I need the one where 6 is positive and 15 is positive. That's this one right here. Woohoo. Nicely done. Nicely done. Okay. Oh my gosh. This is very, very exciting. We're on the last page. Yay. Don't look at that problem. That problem's a little bit longer. So let's not panic. This is fine. We'll do this. It'll be great. Okay. This problem is actually identical to the previous one. It's just using rational numbers instead of whole numbers or integers. So in this case, I've got the number 36 on the outside, and then I've got the opposite of x over 6 minus y over 2. So the first thing I'm going to see is, since these are both written in fractional form, I'm going to write my 36 in fractional form too. Now, just because they're fractions doesn't mean that they don't get to play the reindeer games. Reindeer games are open to everyone. We learned our lesson. No more bullying on reindeer games. So distributive property totally works with fractions. So what does that look like? My 36 over 1 multiplies times the opposite of x over 6. And now this is a choice. I'm going to put the minus. I'm going to put this minus in the middle. Some people choose to put a plus in the middle and then the minus goes somewhere else. It's up to you. But I always learn this minus sits in the middle, and then I've got 36 over 1. And then since I already used the minus right there, my y over 2 is just positive. It just sits there like that. Does that make sense? Okay. Then I bring in my red pen, which is how I cancel, because 6 cancels with 36 and leaves 6. And then here, 2 cancels with 36 and leaves what? Well, if you're not sure, if you're like, oh, I can't remember. Again, calculators are totally legal on this test. So I do 36 divided by 2 is 18. Okay, there we go, 18. Hopefully you know that. The more, the way it works is the more multiplication facts you have in your head, the more comfortable you will be doing math. So I encourage you to memorize as many facts as you can. But also I want to say that just because you can't memorize facts does not mean that math is impossible. It means math will be a little bit more of a challenge. And I will tell you, as someone who has trouble memorizing, it's more of a challenge for me. But you can still do it. That's the great thing about math. Okay, I've got a 6 here and at the opposite of x. So I got a negative 6x. And then that minus in the middle, and then 18y. And you'll notice that all my answers involve a 6 and an 18, right? Just a 6x and 18y, just like the previous, but I've got to come up with the one that has minuses in front of both. So negative 6x minus 18y is right there. Bam. And deep breath. Let me remind you, you can always pause videos. I'm not going to break this into another video, even though we just crossed the 30-minute mark, because I just have this one more problem to do. So I'm just going to push ahead. But if this is too much, take a break, you know, get some water, hydrate with lots of ice. Keeps the brain cool so it doesn't overheat. Okay, I'm going to go on and do the last problem. Very exciting. Little moment of a dance break. Dun, 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 dun. But the thing to remember is, even with me talking and being silly and taking Sharktopus dance breaks, which is pretty absurd, we've only used 30 minutes, and you're going to get 90 minutes for this test online. So there is time for you to make mistakes, to go back and check, to work through things. So definitely use the practice test to check your pacing. If you know there's something you take an extra long time to do, you know, maybe do that problem first, or maybe consider, you know, setting a timer and saying, okay, this problem, I want to have 10 minutes left, so let me set a timer to make sure I don't lose my time. Okay. Oh, this one's gruesome. You guys ready? Woohoo, let's do it. So I've got 33 minus 3. Then a bracket, and then right after that a parenthesis, 46 minus 6 squared plus 3. Oh man, there's so much going on here. So this is a problem that tests your order of operations understanding. And I have been so mean. Seriously, we should take a moment and talk about how mean I am sometimes. Look at this thing winking at you. 33 minus 3, do you not just want to say, okay, fine, that's 30? You just do it right off the bat? Can you do that? And the answer is no. In the order of operations, subtraction is never your first choice. Now, subtraction is not a bad operation. Well, technically, it's complicated. But it's not a bad operation. It's just the way that people have decided is the rule is that subtraction comes pretty much last with addition. So do not fall for this. Do not subtract this. Leave that be, because there's actually a secret multiplication right here, and that one takes precedence. But even before all of that, we have grouping symbols. Now, some people get annoyed by this. If you get annoyed, don't do it. But I personally find it easier to use colors so that I can actually see what the grouping symbols are grouping. And this usually, you know, adding the highlighters to it allows my brain to say, oh, I've got brackets and I've got parentheses, and I'm going to work inside the parentheses. I'm going to work inside there. And then, so to work inside there, and again, I know this is a big pain, but I'm going to write the whole thing again, except for what's in the parentheses. I write down everything that does not change. Okay. In the parentheses, I've got a subtraction and an exponent. I'm going to do the exponent first. So I'm going to get 46 minus 6 squared. 6 times 6 is 36. And then I'm going to work on that. 33 minus 3, bracket, in the parentheses. I'll figure out what's there. Okay, use my cause. See, this takes dedication. You don't have to do it like this. I'll remind you that in an online test, I won't see your work. It's just for you. However, I encourage you to follow the steps. I'm not showing you how to do this because I am, you know, getting kickbacks from the G2 company, because, you know, every time you use up ink, which I'm almost out of ink myself, every time you use up ink, I get, you know, 10 cents or something. That's not the case. What I'm actually doing is I'm showing you the way that I do it so that I don't get lost. And that's the best way I know how to show other people. Now, if you have another way to do it, awesome. But I encourage you, don't cut corners just because it's online, because you can make mistakes and then there's no partial credit. I can't give you credit for getting this almost right, but at the last minute you made a mistake. So online tests are pretty hard that way, in that you have to make sure everything is correct. Okay, so let's be careful. 46 minus 36 is 10. Yay! Okay, those are the inner parentheses. Now I look outside of there and I see I've got these brackets. So let me do this part next. Okay, so I've got 33 minus 3, and then I've got the brackets, and inside there, 10 plus 3 is 13. We are not out of the woods yet, because a lot of people, except that look at me showing you how to avoid my evil plans. Sharktopus is like, psst, psst, look, right there. I know Sharktopus was all, in the movie, was eating people. That was actually defamation. Sharktopus doesn't want to eat anyone. Sharktopus wants to show you that implicit multiplication is very important. That's why he's got that little fin up there to point out implicit multiplication right there. Sharktopus is all about making sure you pass this test. Okay, so since there's multiplication here, you need to look at this, because this becomes 33 minus 3 times 13. Now, if you see that, then you say, oh, wait a minute, I got to do the multiplication first. So that's 33 minus 3 times 13, that's 39. And that's negative 6. Okay, because I did the multiplication first. And then negative 6 is right here. Yay! So how evil am I? Well, Sharktopus can vouch for the fact that I'm pretty evil. Because what happens if you forget the multiplication and you do the subtraction first? Then you get 30 times 13 is 390. Am I not just the evilest evil? Look at me putting the wrong answer up there. And the answer is, I'm not trying to trick you, but it is my job. I'm supposed to say, okay, the student is ready to go on to the next math class. And I take that very seriously because, like I said, I don't want to throw you into a situation where you really are uncomfortable and ill-prepared. So that's part of what this testing is for. But hopefully with this now, you'll remember, oh, that's right, implicit multiplication. Do the multiplication first, do the subtraction second, get the correct answer. Now there's one more problem on the actual test. On the actual test, there is an extra credit problem. You cannot get it wrong as long as you answer it. So if I were to answer, what's your favorite kind of pet? And you say spaghetti, I would say, okay, you have spaghetti as a pet. Fine, you get the point. And I'm not going to worry about it. If I ask you what you want to eat for dinner and you say the planet Mars, I will say, okay, sure. If you want to eat Mars, you go be the best little planet eater you can be. And I will support you in that. Just don't eat Earth because, we need it. But anything you answer for the extra credit is correct. If you leave it blank, you don't get the point. So definitely answer it. Okay, we're done. Woohoo. Even with me talking and being silly and having a little dance party, we're still under half the time. This is 39 minutes at this point. So hopefully this test will not take too long. You'll feel comfortable. You'll have the time to finish it. If any of these problems have caused you, have brought up questions or you have concerns, please let me know before you take the actual test. And I'd be happy to help you. The tutors are happy to help you. You guys are awesome. Good luck and math on. Woohoo.